When a client says, we're going to bring this in-house, most agency owners panic. But what if that's actually an upsell opportunity? Today, I want to share the exact productized graduation offer that we use when clients want to take things internal, and how it's helped my business personally get paid a $2,000 a month retainer for another year or even two, even after they said, we're done. Or if the initial project has already been completed and they need more advisory. We've used this exact offer with multiple clients, and I've actually lived both sides of this. Back when I worked at Cabela's, we decided to bring our mobile app development in-house. But first, we actually paid the mobile development agency to teach us how they did agile development, and that was another year-long contract. Now, this agency didn't panic. They got paid. They got paid to train us, and that actually extended the lifetime value of that relationship for them. And that lesson always stuck with me. So you have to ask yourself, why do clients bring things in-house? It's not always because something went wrong. Sometimes it's actually because you did your job so well that it actually makes sense for them to bring it in-house. They want more control. They want faster turnaround. And guess what? Sometimes they can actually do things faster when it's in-house. You have to be real about that. They'll get team buy-in, or they're just ready to scale up and they need the skill sets and those systems in-house to scale faster. Now, if you're good at what you do, there's almost always a point where it makes sense for a client to bring things in-house, whether you like it or not. And if you've done it right, they'll pay you to help them do it well in-house. By the way, if you like this sort of breakdown, I actually share stuff like this each and every week on my email newsletter, stuff like this about how to productize your service, some behind the scenes frameworks, even client wins and how they've been pulling this off. There's a link in the description below. So here's the framework for the productized graduation offer. Fundamentally, what we're trying to do is transition the system that we've built or have been managing for our clients to their internal team. So there's really 4 phases to this. Phase 1 is kind of the strategy and audit. It's like review what you've built, map out what actually needs to be transferred. When we were building webinar funnels, we actually built these campaigns inside of our client's business, but they didn't really know how to manage them. So we needed to map out what were we doing on the day-to-day basis? How did this thing work? Where does it fit into their existing model? That was sort of the strategy and the audit. Phase 2 is really the documentation and the SOPs. So we had to go look at where were the ways that we optimized the webinar funnel? What were the daily tasks of pulling reporting or updating emails and checking if automation broke or where to look first. Those are all documents and Loom videos that we created that we were able to hand over to our client. So hand over those playbooks, hand over the process docs. Some of those might need to be created. You might have to do recorded walkthroughs like we did, which really brings us to phase 3, which is enabling their team. And this is the part where the runway can actually get pretty long. So this is about team enablement, right? How do you train their people to be able to do the work that you were doing and manage the system or the engine that you had built for them? I really recommend you kind of find a combination of ways in which you do this, from maybe live calls to office hours or sharing asynchronous Loom conversations. You might even kick off an engagement like this with like a half-day intensive, possibly in person or virtual, where you're kind of doing a whole walkthrough overview of this entire system, which really brings to phase 4, again, advisory or the weekly or bi-weekly strategic calls. This is the ongoing support, if you will, when their maybe junior team member needs your expertise. So how are they going to get that? Maybe you have a Slack channel that you want to bring them into. Maybe you want to have, a weekly recurring office hours call where they come, and or maybe there's an email system where they're emailing you questions and you're asynchronously replying, or you have a monthly check-in call. Maybe you do over-the-shoulder implementation with them to make sure that they know what they're doing, and you get to kind of show them where they watch over your shoulder, and then you move to you watching over their shoulder. These could be live Zooms, these could be pre-recorded videos where they're kind of almost making their own SOP for you to review. But the key here is that none of this is necessarily done for you services, right? You are actually advising, consulting them on how to manage the thing that you've already built for them. And this is where you move into kind of that like advisor, consultant retainer territory. Now, we've actually had clients like Rob who've built amazing content machines for their clients. And when his clients wanted to bring it in-house or just even have their internal team know how to create content, say like the founder, they could use this system, but they don't know the ins and outs of the system. They didn't know the scripts. They don't know how to create content. And so they actually paid Rob and his team to teach the system to the rest of the employees in the organization, to all of the insurance agents that were in that agency on how to run the content playbook system to grow each and every one of their own like client accounts. So he got paid to train their team on how to do the work that he was doing. It extended the engagement and they actually paid for that privilege. Now, the key to making this work is 100% around structure and boundaries. And you need to set a timeline on how long this is going to last. Now, again, in the Cabela's example that I gave you earlier, it was a year-long engagement of them teaching and consulting and being there as a support net, a safety net, an insurance policy on us learning how to do this right. Your timeline might differ. We've had clients that we've done 6-month transitions. We've had clients where we would advise them and continually enable their team for the course of a year so that they knew how to run the systems that we were running before we finally parted ways. But it's better to do that than lose them entirely. So you got to set the timeline. Maybe it's 2 to 4 weeks, maybe it's 6 months. You kind of got to look at what exactly you're building for them or helping them take over and how talented and skilled their existing team are. So it might be shorter, it might be longer. Results may vary on that. But you also want to define the access. How are they going to access you and or maybe your team members to get the support they need? This is really critical because you don't want this to just turn into, you're on call all the time. I would set defined meeting rhythms. So maybe you have a monthly sync. Maybe you have that like weekly, touch point in a Slack channel or something like that. And you have, again, specific milestones that you're trying to achieve in this transition, which lastly brings me to the main piece is like, you got to be clear on what's included and what's not, just like you do in your normal service. What are the deliverables? Is it the monthly sync? Is it the Slack channel? Is it the half-day intensive? What are the things that you are going to commit to and able to get this offer graduated into their business and their team enabled to execute internally? You are not their fallback implementer. You're the expert. You're the expert that helps them own it themselves in-house. Now, if you want to build a productized offer like this is actually just one style of productized offer we've helped our clients create and launch in our program. We've got the step-by-step playbooks on how to create it, how to get your clients for it, and how to deliver it. You can learn more about that in the description below. And now, before you do all of this, you should check out this next video that is going to help you understand if you're actually ready to productize.